On Saturday, the 1st of June 2024, a one-of-a-kind parkour event was held in Aberdeen, turning out to be the largest Scottish gathering since 2016 and the largest Aberdeen-based event since 2012. This jam and competition brought freerunners old and new from England and Scotland to Aberdeen for a day to compete, train and socialise, with some people having not seen each other in years. With an overwhelming amount of positive feedback, this event was organised by Isla Ramsey, Luke Cavadias and me. But why and how exactly did we organise the Aberdeen mini takeover? Well, let me tell you. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details of the takeover, we need to have a quick history lesson on the Aberdeen parkour scene. Between 2006 and 2011, Aberdeen had a small but passionate scene. There were two groups who trained regularly but with opposite styles, so naturally despised each other. In 2012, the community started to grow and eventually became one. This continued to grow until 2015, where it reached its peak as a community and one of the main hubs for parkour in Scotland, and slowly started to decline. Since then, even if we ignore the COVID-19 pandemic, the community has been in a flux. There comes periods of jams, classes and a community, although not as big as it was in its heyday. And then other periods of no classes, hardly any jams, and probably half a dozen people training semi-regularly. So now you're caught up, let's get into the takeover. In early 2023, myself and Luke Cavadias, who I've been working and training with at the Movement Bothy since August 2022, decided that we needed a parkour event in Aberdeen, primarily a competition to boost the community and to bring people up to our neck of the woods. I've always been fascinated by the old school jams, the ones where up to 100, sometimes more people would meet in one location for a day, and there'd be a large group warm-up, a group cool-down, a conditioning session, and synchronized movement. Proper community activities, not just people meeting up and training together. And Luke, being 4 years older than me, had got to experience these and has always spoken very highly of them. However, jams in the parkour scene have pretty much died. Although they are still a common thing, they don't have the impact, the size and the scale that they used to do. People aren't willing to travel across the country for a jam anymore. But we'd noticed the impact that competitions have on the modern day parkour world, and the way that street comps and takeovers brought many people together, much like the old school jams. So much to the displeasure of the heads of the Aberdeen parkour scene at that time, we began to put together our plan for an Aberdeen competition. And boy, did we overthink it. Just before the summer of 2023, Isla Ramsey moved up to Aberdeen from Glasgow to study at RGU. And alongside that, began working at the Movement Bothy with myself and Luke. Despite only training parkour for under 2 years at that time, Isla was and still is incredibly passionate about all things parkour, training, the coaching and the community. In no time at all, she was involved in the planning of what would eventually become the Aberdeen mini takeover. By October 2023, Luke had become the unofficial head of parkour in Aberdeen, and by November, we had decided on a small condensed version of a takeover event for Aberdeen to take place just before the summer. For those unaware, a takeover event is a parkour competition where there are a number of challenges spread out across the city, and on one day, competitors are given a time limit to complete as many of those challenges as possible. For example, there's 100 challenges, complete as many of those as you can in 6 hours. So of course, what we needed first were challenges. We started writing down as many as we could think of, and then realized that this was going to take a very, very long time. So to make it easier, we decided that there would be 40 challenges in total, as this was a condensed version. And those 40 would be split up into difficulty categories for two main reasons. The first one being it's going to be easier for us to identify those challenges, as we'd need 10 beginner, 10 intermediate, 10 advanced and 10 expert. And second of all, it means that people can see that these aren't high level challenges when we start advertising, and therefore encourage more people to come along. The 40 challenges were spread out across 3 main locations: St Nick's Roof Garden, Police HQ and Gallowgate Flats. In no time at all, we had decided those 40 challenges, and all that was left to do was create a logo, film the challenges, create a sign up form, create the Instagram account, advertise, buy trophies, and actually plan the day. Oh, and it's now March. The takeover is in June. We have under 3 months to do all of this. Luckily, thanks to the combined effort of Isla sketching the logo, me digitizing it, creating a sign-up form, creating the Instagram, myself and Isla filming those challenges and buying the trophies, and Luke spamming every parkour organisation and key individual in the UK to either come along or promote the event, we announced the Aberdeen mini takeover on the 1st of April, much to the disgust of certain disconnected members of the Scottish parkour community. A month later at 10 AM, we turned up to the St. Nick's roof garden, which was the meeting point, and waited for people to show, convinced we would have much lower numbers than the 51 people who initially signed up to compete.
It's actually terrifying.
The Aberdeen mini takeover ran from 11 AM to 4:30 PM officially. Attendees could arrive from 11 AM onwards, with a large group warm-up taking place between 11:30 and 11:50, which was swiftly followed by a large group photo. At 12 PM, the competition started and the competitors had until 2 PM to complete as many of those 40 challenges as possible. They then had until 2:30 PM to submit their results, whether by posting to their Instagram story or giving us a tick sheet. We then all congregated at the Snake Run for a jam which slowly transitioned to the beach, where at 4 PM we announced the winners of each age category. We had youth, which was 10 to 14, teen, which was 15 to 17, and adult, which was 18 plus. We had 55 freerunners attend, with 10 to 15 people watching and supporting from the sidelines. The largest Scottish community event since 2016, the biggest Aberdeen parkour event since 2012, and the first ever takeover event held in Scotland.
Yes! Oh, so close!
A well-needed boost to the Scottish community. In hindsight, it was an amazing event. There is no doubt about that. We received so much positive feedback about how well organised everything was, how well varied the challenges were, and how nice it was to see so many parkour lovers from Scotland in one area again. We only received 2 bits of constructive feedback, which was more upper body challenges and more time to submit results. Both of these we completely agree on, but for our first time running an event, I'd say we didn't do too badly. So that is how 3 fairly low-key members of the Scottish parkour community hosted the Aberdeen mini takeover. But wait, the story's not over yet. Since late 2023, there have been plans in the works for a Scottish takeover league, similar to the one in England taking place this year. We have 7, technically 8 cities and towns confirmed, which will each host a takeover event in 2025 as part of a wider series. The details are still being ironed out, but regardless, I hope these can be bigger and better than the Aberdeen mini takeover and maybe help guide the Scottish community back to its large, well-connected and established self. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you for watching this video all about the very recent Aberdeen mini takeover. A huge shout out and thank you to everyone who attended and helped promote our event. Big congratulations to the winners and runners up, and of course a personal thank you to Luke Cavadias and Isla Ramsey for being absolute legends during the planning process of this and on the day. And to everyone watching, like, subscribe, share. I'll see you around.